A right back's fully coming in. We know that's going to happen, whatever that may be. There's a lot of names with this, Bart. I mean, one player, I'm just going to say it, but I refuse to countenance more analysis on this. Jeremy Frimpong, just right wing back for Leverkusen.
Yeah.
The lad is brilliant going forward. He does not defend. Yes, it's not his role in his system, but all his metrics, it's such a different system, such a different way to the way he plays. And also, the thought of Frimpong on the right and Kirkes on the left just terrifies me, because that would mean one of Gravenberch, McAllister or Szoboszlai is dead by Christmas 2025, essentially, just because of what they're going to be asked to do. So we're taking that out the mix a little bit. The two names that are similar-ish profiles that have come up and been ones we've looked at for TMM is Givairo Read, the young Feyenoord right back, very limited experience. And for you all say it in the chat panel, sample size, we're going to say that straight away. Just get that out of your system, of course. But a Liverpool fan, Slot knows him, all those types of things. The second one, which I think a lot of people have looked at and referenced, not pronouncing it wrong, Martim Fernandes from Porto. So again, sample size, but interesting profiles. Quick, both have shone in different places. I'm going to say sample size again, just so you can get it out your midst in the chat panel. But in terms of what we can see for these kids and potentially coming in, it is good to run the metrics on both of these in terms of Martim Fernandes, Givairo Read. What do they say?
So it has to be said, there is not a lot of data on Givairo Read. All right. He plays in the Eredivisie, so they don't do a lot of stats there. And they do stats, but they're not publicly available.
Okay.
So you're running on some really low amount of data. But when you and I looked at this kid a while ago, didn't we? And we were like, okay, there's some bits here, but because it's on such a low amount of minutes, it's really hard to draw conclusions on it. He loves to tackle, okay, great, but the rest of them aren't hot. You know, they're red, basically. I mean, we'd be calling that aerial 4 percentile, but he's not great. Pass completion 83rd, but it's still in the 50th. Take on 77, and he's not great going. I mean, not great an understatement. He's red on going forward, right? So it's not. And you scroll down, this is his complete report, right? It's not. I mean, here defensively, okay, fair enough. The tackle was one, which was a strong point. So fair enough. The guy can tackle. Okay, cool. But in terms of possession, nothing really standing out. Tackles you take on the not something you want to be worried about. I mean, when yellow cards is a standout green, that's a bit of a worry, if I'm being honest with you. So because there's not a lot of data on him, it's really difficult to draw any major conclusions on him. I would. So I'd be a bit concerned about him. To be honest with you, if you compared him, it's just because he's played not a lot of minutes. It's just really hard. I mean, comparing him to Connor outperforms him, right? And there's not any distinctive things that you'd say, okay, fair enough, he's better than Connor at X, because he isn't, apart from taking players on, but wouldn't be a trait I'd be signing a fullback up for. So there's some elements there where I'd be a bit concerned if they might see potential. Okay, fair enough. But as I said, the availability of stats is not great. Per 90, 0.35 per assists, shooting, they haven't got anything. Shots on target, 33% shooting on target. Playing time, he has an impact on the team, which is 0.32, which is good. But the rest of them, there's not enough to draw a reasonable conclusion from. I'd be a fool if I was saying now, telling you to go and sign him, because I just haven't got the data to say that. It looks like he could tackle, but there's not a lot else to go from.
Would just shout out there, it says on the screen, is I know it's Eredivisie and you're going to shout Eredivisie attacks. 6 assists in those minutes seems pretty decent. Or is it just because it's Eredivisie and that prorated is like 1?
Yeah, I mean, pro rata that is pretty low, to be honest with you. You got to remember, its expected assist is 0.1. Yeah, right. So that's pretty low. Yeah, if you time to multiply that by, I think it's 0.75, you're looking at a really low amount for expected assist. So yeah, I would always caveat. I mean, Cody, when he came over, had a huge amount of assists before he came over for Liverpool, and he's playing okay now, but it's taken him a while to start getting the numbers right. So yeah, they would clearly have other data on him for it even to be considered, but for what we're looking at, I can't personally see that. I mean, one of the other lads you mentioned there was Martim, is that right?
Fernandes, yeah.
Fernandes, right. So again, limited data on him because he's Portugal, right? So if we look at his scouting report, which is slightly more games, but not a lot. Europa League based. It's a lower quality. He does outperform Read, but it's a low sample size. He does have more shot creating actions. There's some more green on him. Fine, fair enough. But it's a low volume here. I mean, we're talking about 312 minutes. This is not something to be making huge assumptions on. If you look at his whole profile, this is passing, so he's got slightly more about him. He has some long passing. Okay, good. Expected assists, 87. That's good. Pass interference area, 94 percentile. Some things to be liking. Through balls, 99 percentile. So there's some things here that you start gleaming on. You've just got a caveat with this: not a lot of minutes played to form this report. Defensively, is okay against dribblers. Makes tackles in the defensive third. Okay, so he's not really a high presser in where he's been asked to press. Possession based, doesn't take players on, attempts a lot, but he's not successful. He's 22nd percentile. And miscellaneous, he's 44% aerials, is 32nd percentile. So he's not bad on that. He's better than Trent, to be fair. But yeah, it's some things to go through. If you look at it just at a similar kind of thing, because there's not a lot to go on. So here he has a 0.54 impact on Porto, sorry. So that's pretty effective if it is the Premier League in Portugal. But as I said, extremely limited stats, and they must have something else to go on if they were even considering him. He's 19. He's got 5 assists again as well. But if you look at the expected, he's at 0.7. And Portugal translates to the Premier League at a better rate than Eredivisie. So I think it's by about 10%. So there are things to like about both of them. Well, more for Martin, to be fair with you, but the sample size is so small in the public domain. It's really hard for me to say, go and sign. You know what I mean? It's very difficult to do that. But maybe the data they have is that good. They're prepared to make a gamble on him. At 19, if it's low value, maybe it's worth it. I don't know. If they see Bradley as being the first stop, the first choice. Martin did have some passing metrics on there, which would suggest maybe he's more of a passer than a carrier. But as I said, really small sample size to make any massive judgments on.
Is there? I mean, it does feel like it's one of these two, exactly as you said, and the metrics are showing this. They're coming in to be number 2, maybe see if they can challenge, long term to replace it. But it's trying not to be cruel. Again, the sample data is just so low for both. It's not that Read is bad, but there wasn't too much data that really shone there. It did feel like when there was links, this is more about him be a Feyenoord player, the Liverpool fan and all those, and did okay against Rafa Leao, as we said when we looked at him. The one thing that I do just want to be fair and clear on is, because we looked at Fernandes and we did clearly prefer him to Read. The passing played a part, didn't it? in terms of the pass completion long being in the 97th percentile, you had it, passes into the penalty area, 94th percentile, through balls, 99th. There was, as you said, in the specific passing stats, and he's not a bad carrier. He's not just bad good, but he's almost there. But especially when he can get the ball in both areas, short and long, there are passing stats that are really interesting there for Fernandes. Do you think that's why they're watching him? They have him on the list that way?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I've just overlaid the really small sample size with Connor, and there are elements he outperforms Connor, which is on the ball passing, right? So there are some things there. Well, sorry, in terms of progressive passes received and tackling, and he's up there in terms of progressive passes made. So I can definitely see some elements that even in this small sample size, he could be doing something, and they will have more extreme data on him. I mean, even here, his shot created actions and his expected assisted goals is higher than Connor, right? Sample size really small. Portugal, yes, but just looking at that, there could be something in Martim Fernandes, definitely. Could be.
Interesting. There we go, ladies and gents. And if we're presenting Martim Fernandes, it's definitely as it's not just one or the other, but more a passer than a runner, a different profile to Connor. It's important to say. But I mean, in terms of those, we're starting to look, because we have to talk about this in terms of both fullbacks. One's coming in on each side. I don't know if there's any doubt about that, Bart. Is it about combinations for you that, for instance, if it's Kirkes, who is a carrier, you probably do want more of a passer, maybe like a Fernandes on the other side, if that's going to be the option? That if it's Kirkes and it was Frimpong, that would terrify you in terms of what they do. At the same time, if it's Read, Carrera, if you're going to start Bradley, maybe that's the best analogy. Does it not seem better to have Carreras, who's more of a passer then? Can carry a bit, but more of a passer and good on. Is it not about balance both sides, rather than, if you are saying Kirkes and Frimpong, Gravenberch and Mack will be dead by Christmas?
Yeah, I think there's two things there. If you want to carry on with the same system we have now this season, which is our balanced fullback approach, both the fullbacks don't do the same thing. I mean, and in games where they've done the same thing, we've been ineffective. Okay, so if you want to carry on with that, then I would suggest it's Carreras if Bradley's going to be your first choice, or Fernandes comes in if Kirkes is going to, those kind of balancing around. If, however, he wants to change the way that we attack, then all the best. But I think you need to sign. You need to have a better double six pivot, not a 6 and an 8. You probably almost want to play with 2 6s, and one that's very good at transverse play, coming across or working horizontally to block out passing lanes and support and drop in, and then the other one is that it can do a bit. So I think that's. So if we sign those 2 fullbacks that scare the hell out of you, and probably a little bit of me as well, I would then like to see midfield links that our players can come and play in a double pivot. If we don't see that, then we're going to have a very different way of building and defending. And we're also going to be asking a lot of our fullbacks. So if you're happy for them to do that, you're also going to be asking them to come back as well very quickly. And that's not to say that Klopp didn't do that in the early years. Robbo and Trent were like up and down, up and down, up and down. But that's a different proposition. So I think if he's going to carry on with a similar what we've got now, I would suggest he's going to buy one of each type. If he's going to change the way we attack and defend in wide areas, then I think he could buy 2 of the same. But that could be some exciting play, but it would be a very different makeup in midfield as well.
Yeah, the line between exciting and suicidal is probably quite small in football terms, shall we say. So we'll see what develops. But there you go, ladies and gents. We've laid it all out for you in terms of Costas versus Robbo. Who's doing best? Who will be better to keep this season as the metrics show it? We've looked at who's coming in with Will Carreras be better over Kirkes? You will have your opinions. You will make your judgments. We've laid it out fully for there. We've looked at right back. We can't underestimate what we're losing with Trent. You shouldn't undersell that, whatever you think about the move whatsoever, which you're entitled to your opinion. Connor Bradley, again, not to be derogatory, but the jump for him to be a number one with where he is now seems very distinct. Read or Fernandes, both seem inexperienced there if they are to come in and be the number 2 right back, if you want to call it that, backing up Connor. But maybe that's the ploy, because a world where Kirkes and Frimpong are on the fullbacks, well, good luck being a midfielder at Liverpool. We will have to see what happens. All it leaves me to say, though, is for the full analysis, the full breakdown, running all the metrics and the analysis we asked for, Bart, it is much appreciated.
No worries, anytime.
And ladies and gents, that was another Stat Me Up special for Anfield Index.